Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. I'm super excited today because we have a first-time guest, pro guest from Sandstorm and the Netherlands. Why are there so many good players from the Netherlands? I don't know, but maybe Thimo, you can tell us why. Welcome to the channel, man.
Hey Ash, thanks for having me on.
No problem. So why don't you answer my question? Why are there so many good pros from the Netherlands? What are you guys, just breeding Clash Royale pros over there?
I don't know, man. We just have a great community in the Netherlands, and it's going great. We practice also sometimes with each other, and it's really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, you guys, I've had quite a few of you guys on the channel and always love doing it. You guys are great. So we're going to be talking about this deck today, which I love. It has my favorite card, the Ice Wizard, in it, and of course the newly buffed Graveyard. This is a deck that you've been having a tremendous amount of success in. As a matter of fact, you went undefeated for Sandstorm in CRL, and you tweeted me, and I was like, man, this deck looks like something that you guys, my subscribers, would really enjoy. So tell us a little bit about how you came up with this deck, and then I have a million questions to ask you while we watch your replays.
Okay, back in the days when a Graveyard came out, there was like a deck with Bowler, Inferno, Graveyard, and there was like Fireball or Freeze you can use in a deck. And I was playing a bracket of 0-11, and I went undefeated in the deck using this deck. And I really loved this deck like all the time when Graveyard was good. But then Graveyard got nerfed, and I was like, needed to find a new deck. But the last balance update, so as you guys know, Graveyard got buffed, and I came up with this old deck and make it a new version of it, like how I like it with new cards like Ice Wizard in it and bats.
Yeah, definitely. And it's got a little bit of the splash with the bowler. I mean, you don't have the baby dragon, so it's not like a splash yard deck, but it has some elements of that with the Ice Wizard and the bowler, right?
Yeah, true. It is very strong, especially against Z-bait decks, and also against Hog Rider decks is pretty strong. Because you also have the Inferno Tower and the bowler, so the Hog Rider will never get to your tower.
Yeah, pretty much, right? This is. Would you recommend this deck for ladder as well? I know it does have like a couple legendaries, obviously, and an epic, but do you think it's good?
I tried it on a max of a friend of me. He has like not totally max, but he has pretty high levels, and it worked pretty good. Like, you have better decks actually for ladder, like Z-bait is very good.
Yeah.
And this deck counters Z-bait, and that is pretty good.
Sure, that's a fair point. What would you say the most difficult matchup for this deck is, and then we'll cover it in a bit?
I would say Golem Lightning is very hard, but also the giant double minions is hard, because you need to use the poison on defense and can't use it on offense. And they have a lot of graveyard counters, like the minions and the skill hordes. They have a lot of counters.
It's true. So before we get into like each individual matchup, why don't we kind of set the table about this deck? So just give us like a really brief overview. Like, what are you trying to do with this deck? How are you playing it? Maybe if you could just summarize, okay, someone's picking this deck up for the very first time. What keys should they be concentrating on?
The first point is look at your starting ends and wait a bit what your opponent is doing. Like, mostly if the opponent of me doesn't do anything at 10 elixir, I place like a Ice Wiz in the back of bats or Ice Golem.
Okay.
And then I just wait what they do. And in a lot of decks in the meta, I see elixir collector. And when I see that, I love to go aggressive, like with a Ice Golem graveyard or with a bowler graveyard, like a very aggressive push. And then take the pump down with the poison. And also the supporting troops of them, defending troops of them, both take them down with the poison, and hopefully take the tower, so they can't have any value with the elixir collector. So I like to play pretty aggressive with the deck.
Okay, pretty aggressively, which is kind of cool to hear, because I'm so used to pros, graveyard pros especially, saying that they like to play more passively. what about, okay, so we talked about, I just want to go through a couple like really popular situations that you run into in a game, and maybe you can kind of clear it up. So we already talked about the elixir pump. So elixir pump, once they play it as a starting move in any game, no matter what you have, you're just gonna go, you're gonna try to punish immediately and use poison as well. So you'll basically use all your elixir if you have to, right?
Indeed, and then you can have some problems, like you will see in one of the replays. Little spoiler, but you will see that I have a little bit problem in the next defense after that. But it will like be a value for you because they don't have to pump anymore, and you got pretty much a lot of damage. And with the defending troops, you can also make a counter attack. And that is why what I also like to do with this deck, like with all the defending, like a bowler and an Ice Wiz is perfect also for the defense. And you can also make a great counter push with it. Like the bowler has like half alive, and then you place a graveyard on it, on top of the tower. You get a great push.
Okay, what about if people don't have Ice Wizard? What should they sub in for Ice Wiz?
For the Ice Wiz, I would recommend if you have maybe the E-Wiz would be great, but if you like more go against you are more free to play player, I would say Mega Minion will work because it is like a pretty good card.
Yeah,
and
like a good defensive
the same
card.
elixir, and
yeah,
you can also make a good counter push with that, like Ice Golem Mega Minion graveyard push.
So as you're going through your matches when you're playing this deck, oh, by the way, we should mention that you're playing Raisa, and he's a really good player from Sandstorm as well. So you didn't have any fresh like 12 wins or anything replays.
Yeah,
so I
have a Grand Challenge account, but where I play on, but that guy doesn't want me to
the cat out of the bag.
Let it show because he wants to be anonymous, and I appreciate that. Yeah,
sure.
I respected that. So
yeah, so you took one of your best players in Sandstorm and just did the matches against him, but obviously he's trying as well. So just wanted to point that out, the reason that there were friendly battles. Okay, so as you're going through the match, and I think this question is very important, is as you're going through a match, what are you thinking about in this deck? Like, what are you most trying to identify and pay attention to in your opponent's deck, and then how are you adjusting based on it?
First, I will see, like, when I am on 10 Alexa at the beginning, I was just cycle a bit between cards in the back. So I will see what deck they are using. Like, is it Beatdown, Siege, or Cycle decks, stuff like that. So I can see mostly what counters they have. Do they have minions? Do they have, like, poisonable targets? Or do they have, like, a baby dragon or a witch? So I can see what counters I have for the graveyard and how I can remind that in the next rest of the game.
Yeah, I got you. So you're identifying basically what can I poison in their deck, A, and B, what's their win condition, it sounds like. Is that accurate?
Indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, indeed, yes.
And obviously, I mean, a lot of this stuff is pretty... this deck, what I like about it is that it's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, like, you have a couple pretty decent counters to pretty much everything with the Inferno Tower and the Bowler. You know, those cards and Ice Wizard, all three of those cards really strong. Let me ask you this. Why do you have Log in this deck and not Zap? Because I think that Zap is sometimes good because you can get that instant kill of the skeletons or bats or something if they use it to counter your graveyard.
That is very true, but at the moment I see a lot of Zap bait sort of decks, and I don't want to use every time like a bowler what they can also rocket, so they get a lot of value out of that. Every time they can chip away, and in competitive play I see a lot of Zap bait sort of decks, so I put Log in. I first started with Zap actually, but it didn't work out that well as the Log.
Okay, that's a fair point, because Zap bait is everywhere right now. So, and it comes in handy.
True.
And it comes in Log is a card that you can never get a negative elixir trade on, basically. So it's always good to have, even if you're not going against a Zap bait deck.
And then if they cycle out your Log, you can always have the bowler for it. So it's like a double counter against it.
Indeed. So Let's talk a little bit about, I mean, the defensive options in this deck are pretty obvious, and offenses too. And we talked about what's going through your mind a little bit. What about like common mistakes with this deck? What would you say are some common mistakes that folks out there should try to avoid when playing this deck?
Sometimes I still make this mistake, but going too aggressive, like when they don't have the pump down and don't place a pump down and just go too aggressive at the beginning, and then they counter it and make a big counter push out of that. That is the most common mistake of this deck. Well, I see also clanmates play this deck, and just go too aggressive is the most problem of the deck. Most common mistake.
So to follow up there, how do you know how much aggressive is good, and then how much aggressive is just too much? Like, I know that's a really tricky question, but you know, how do you know when enough is enough? Like, for example, your opponent pumps. Maybe they had like 1 elixir advantage over you, and then they pump, and then you know you want to punish. But how do you know? Okay, I probably shouldn't poison here as well because I want to keep some elixir. You know, like where's that thin line of demarcation of where it's just a bad idea?
That's a very good question, but I would say at the beginning, I always explain that. Like,
it's a tricky one.
just try to make a big push at the beginning. Like,
okay.
Not straight on like the beginning, but a little bit further. You see what their counters are, and if you even get some damage on your towers, next time you know what their counters are, and you know, don't go that aggressive. Maybe and let's just take a step back. And
okay.
Then you have all the control.
Yeah, it's like a feeling out process a little bit, you know, it sounds like, where it's okay to go all at once, but then you have to always be ready to adjust. Yep.
That's a very clear answer, yeah.
You just touched on something. One more question I wanted to ask you before we kind of get into a play-by-play here is, you mentioned it's okay sometimes to take a little bit of damage to your tower if it kind of gives you the scouting ability to know what your opponent has and know what they're going to do. So a more broad question to that end is, how much damage are you comfortable taking onto a tower with this deck? It's not like a cycle deck, and it's not like a beatdown deck. So with a beatdown, it's okay. Like sometimes you'll just let a Mega Knight just get a few hits on your tower. With a cycle deck, you want to be very cautious and protect your towers. Where does this deck fall?
I would just say more closer to the beatdown variant of Graveyards, because I can take some damage because you have a solid defense with the Inferno Tower, Ice Wizard, and the Bowler. Next time when you have to control, you can just defenses push and don't take that much damage, while you can take his tower.
That's a good point. Okay, so be a little bit. It's okay to get a little bit, play a little bit, take a little bit of damage is what I'm trying to say. Jesus, Ash. All right, let's hop into this last replay here, and I want you to I want to go into the mind of Thimo here, and maybe just give us your thought process on this match. So I'm gonna press play. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Boom. All right. So yeah, just kind of walk us through here. First of all, what do you think about this starting hand that you have here? It looks kind of awkward.
At the moment, I was thinking like I have this starting hand suck, like it just suck.
Yep. But then he played the pump.
And I would love to see Bats, Ice Wiz, or Ice Golem in the beginning. So I saw him play pump and I went all in.
And it looks
to
like
have a better cycle and just see him place what he has, and I poisoned it all.
Wow, so that was really aggressive.
Like, I don't have any elixir. I will take a lot of damage right here. And then just know what he has next time. So when I see his defending troops, I know I'm facing Golem right now.
Okay. So what do you think in retrospect, in hindsight? Do you think that the poison might have been a little bit too much there, or are you still happy with the decision?
After I played, sometimes I just have that like, oh shit, that's too much. But
gotcha. Yeah. But Ice Wizard gets a nice little some nice little chip damage here on the left lane, and then you decide to go all in again. Let me ask you this real quickly. If the opponent pumps up on a side that you're not targeting, will you punish that lane just to attack the pump as well? Or how do you deal with graveyard targeting pumps?
It depends on the deck. Like, if they have a lot of graveyard counters, I will just go to the tower I'm attacking. But if they don't have a lot of graveyard counters, I will just go at the bomb side and sort of split damage the towers, like, and take them both at the end.
Is there ever a time where you just do like a naked graveyard poison all by itself, no tank at all?
I don't like naked graveyards. I see a lot of pro players like do that sometimes, but I'm not really that type of guy.
Okay, gotcha. In your graveyard placement, is this your recommended graveyard placement on the towers?
Yeah, I like this placement because the a lot of counters like Valkyrie and so can't counter it because it will go all over the towers. Over the tower, and I really like that placement. I just, since the beginning of Graveyard, I use that spot. Lately, I'm trying to switch it up a bit, like find a new perfect spot.
Yeah, because it feels like it's a double-edged sword, right? Because the new graveyard, the skeletons spawn along the perimeter, so although the radius is smaller, they still are liable to activate the King Tower because they're so close to the perimeter, right?
Yep, true. So I heard a bit of a new best graveyard positioning.
Ooh, do tell.
So we still need to find it. Actually, we are still trying to find it. Like, but you see a lot of difference. Like, you place it like one tile to the right, it will do like 200 more damage and stuff like that. So we really need to find those best spots for more damage and more value.
Yeah, what do you think about defending graveyard? Do you think it's easier now or less RNG now that they've made those changes, or do you think it's similar?
I think it is worse right now, the defensive graveyard, because normally it was like I used the defensive graveyard like not that much, but just for P.E.K.K.A.s maybe, or just giants. But now they're not all at one side, so they're not attacking all the tank.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry. I wasn't very clear there, Thimo. I meant, do you think it's more difficult to defend against the graveyard, like your opponent?
Oh.
Or to predict it, I should say, because they said the reason they made those changes was try to kind of mitigate some of that RNG. Do you think it's done that, or do you think it's still kind of unpredictable?
I think it is more predictable. Because on the lately last graveyard, it was like you never know where they are, but now there you see like a pattern coming into the graveyard. Like if you study that really good, you know where the skeletons will be.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree with you there.
If you know what I mean.
No, we do. Yeah, no, it's true. And I guess, is there like an optimal positioning to defend against a graveyard? I don't want you to shoot yourself in the foot here because you're a graveyard player, but is there if you're defending with archers or something, do you just place them as you normally would, or is there a new positioning to defend?
If you do it with like poisonable defending troops like archers, I would just switch up the placement because. And not because of the new graveyards version, but just because of the prediction poisons, maybe.
Yeah, it's good advice. Last question before we let you go is, tell me a little bit about Sandstorm. I know that Sandstorm isn't necessarily new, but they took on a lot of different clans. Smiley, Arab Union, 50 Kings, all kind of came together. How did you get involved, and how do you like Sandstorm?
First of all, I was in Smiley, and after a bit and playing competitive there, we heard the news that it was going to merge together with Sandstorm. And then I just came into the team and just needed to do a new tryout thing over there. And I passed, so that's nice.
Congrats.
And
you like the team?
I really like it over there. Like, it is all way more organized. Like, the practices, we practice every day.
Awesome.
Like at different times for AU and for American times. So it's like really nice.
That's really cool.
All the people have a CRL team. So we have a lot of CRL teams. You see it in around 16. There were like 8 or 10 Sandstorm teams over there. So we're going ham over there.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool to see you guys.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
So we actually want to give everyone a chance to play and show what they can do. So we also have an MVP system where you can, if you show you're actually the best of that week of your region, you will deserve something.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I like the system, and I know that like Hudat from Smiley, he definitely had, like,
really nice guy.
Yeah, one of the best reputations in the entire game. So I actually haven't talked to him too much, or if at all, personally. But he's a guy that probably would be interesting to have come on the channel at some point. But hey, man, I'm glad you're enjoying it there, and I just wanted to thank you again for coming on this channel and sharing the deck. It was a pleasure having you on, man.
No problem, man. Thanks again. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So guys, there you have it. Best of luck with this graveyard deck. It is a good one. I think that you guys are really going to enjoy it and have some success with it. Again, huge shout out to my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. You can find out his information in the description below. Guys, thanks so much for watching. It means the world to me. And as always, take care, guys.